Let's talk Buddhism. It started around 500 BCE with a man named Siddhartha Gautama, and he's later known as the Buddha. And he was the founder, and it started around 500 BCE. Siddhartha was from India, and he was a prince, wealthy man. And we'll talk more about him in a little bit. They were not polytheistic or monotheistic, not really as concerned with gods, so you could say they are non-theistic. Buddhism is more of a philosophy than anything, not as concerned about that. There's no teaching about a god in this religion. And as I said up here, they were founded in India. India is known for their Hindu tradition, and it was out of this tradition that Siddhartha came from. He would have been a Hindu. Leadership today and throughout history, they have monks and nuns. The most important person would obviously be the guy who the religion is named after. Siddhartha became the Buddha, which means enlightened one. Enlightened one would mean that he's reached a special level of knowledge and understanding. Their holy book, they don't have a single, like just this one holy book like the others that are known for. Lots of teachings in various books and texts. Their population today, about 350 million. Not as high as Christianity and Hinduism and Islam, but still a lot of followers. Getting into the basic beliefs of where they're at, you have to look at Siddhartha himself. Like I said, he's a prince, a wealthy man, and when he realized what was happening outside of his palace, people who were sick, dying, poor, homeless, he realized that what was happening in India with the caste system wasn't really working. And one thing that he disagreed with was the caste system itself, which was a very important part of India. So he didn't agree with the caste system. The caste system from Hinduism was that they're in a certain level of society, whether it's at the top or at the bottom or in the middle, and they have to stay there. He didn't agree with it because he saw the bottom of the barrel of society and he thought, this is terrible. How can there be people that are at the very bottom and they have no way to get out? And so he eventually developed a system that is called the Four Noble Truths. Four Noble Truths. The first one is that life has suffering. In other words, he looked at life and saw what was happening, and he said, wow, life is miserable. There's so much suffering going on. Why do we suffer? That was the second noble truth. He said, suffering comes from desire. We want stuff. This kind of reminds me of the economics talk where you can't always get what you want. And Siddhartha Buddha, he would say that the reason why life is suffering is because we want everything. We have a desire for stuff, whether that's desire for a good job, an education, nice house, car, wife, husband, kids, family, health. We have lots of desires. And so he says that there's a way to end this suffering. That is to stop desiring. So his point was if you just could stop wanting everything, then your suffering would stop. You wouldn't be disappointed in your B when you wanted to have an A. You wouldn't be disappointed in missing out on making a sports team because you didn't want to make it. You wouldn't miss out on losing a family member because you no longer desire to have that kind of bond and relationship. So he said the way to end all kinds of suffering is to stop all kinds of desire. Then the fourth noble truth is how do you stop desire? Well, the way to stop desire is by following a certain set of guidelines and ways to live that he called the Eightfold Path. This would be obviously 8 sets of laws, kind of, or just not really laws as much as it is a way to live life to move past your suffering. And for other info, I'll just describe some of the Eightfold Path. The Eightfold Path includes giving up worldly things, your money, your stuff, be kind to others, don't harm, be honest, under control, and practice meditation. So these are some of the practices that are part of the Eightfold Path that he would say this is how you have a life that would not desire anything. And if you can accomplish these things, then you would reach the point that they call nirvana, which would be the ultimate goal in Buddhism. So Buddhism is a little different than the other ones in that it's not a religion in the same way that they are, because we're not looking at worshiping a god as much as it is following certain kinds of philosophy and lifestyle, the way that we look at life. And it started in India, but it really spread out in China, and that's where it mostly resides today. Most of the 350 million people are actually in China. Hinduism, known to be in India, Buddhism, mostly in Asia, Southeast Asia, but a lot of them are in China.